Alright, people. Review of the week time. So, a lot to get into, a lot to talk about, a lot happened over the course of the weekend. This was a weekend where we really did see a little bit of everything. We saw big knockouts, we saw come from behind out of nowhere KOs, we saw unifications, we saw an absolute, I don't want to say masterclass, but a brilliant performance by one fighter. We saw tremendous bravery by another. It had a bit of everything this weekend. It really genuinely did. Let's go back to Friday night. We'll go back to Friday night. We'll talk here a little bit about the Jake Paul card. Now, before I talk about Jake Paul versus the guy he fought, Yornies Tellez, I think is how you pronounce that name, fought a guy, this guy's 6-0, fought a guy 15-1, Levan Nearo, I think is how you say that guy's name. Knockout of the year contender right there. Oh my God, what a punch. That was a tremendous shot. It was in the 10th round. What a KO. I mean, the guy, they showed some footage of it kind of from a fan cam, and you could see as soon as the shot landed, obviously he went limp, fell down, was gone out of it. But the blood flowing down out of his mouth as well. It was a massive KO. It was one of the biggest shots I've seen this year. In terms of biggest shot I've seen this year, it would still be that knockout that Jazza Dickens suffered. I mean, he was out cold for a while. But that right there, just boom out of nowhere, it was an incredible shot. And obviously Jake Paul fought as well. He fought this guy, Andre August, who is now 10-2 with one draw. Both of those losses coming by knockout. Lost to a guy called Eric Abraham. Eric Abraham lost by stoppage. That guy holds a win, a split decision win over Marcellus Wilder. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's not much of an achievement getting a win over him, to be honest with you. But that's the kind of level this guy was at. Jake Paul went in there. The guy barely was. I don't even think he landed a single shot on Jake Paul. Jake Paul was just throwing his shots, looking to set up shots. Eventually landed a big uppercut. Now, big uppercut, fight ended, referee waved it off, correct decision, stopped the fight. The guy was out of his depths in there against Jake Paul, right, who was, I give him credit, like he is fighting boxers now. There's talk about him potentially having a rematch with Tommy Fury. He definitely has a bit of punching power. He's athletic, he's not a world beater, but he's taken the sport serious. I'll give him that. People were saying this fight was fixed. Oh, that knockout was 100% fixed. Blabbity, 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 blah. No. You can't fake those kind of reactions. The fact that his neck snapped up. The fact that when he tried to get up, his legs were complete. You can't fake those types of reactions. The way he went limp when he hit the ground. That was a legit knockout. Jake Paul has shown good punching power. This guy was just extremely limited. Like, obviously, Jake Paul, his team are looking at these guys and thinking, right, who can we fight? Because obviously they're not going to jump in there at, a massive level above them. They're going to have a look and just kind of pick and choose. Okay, might take him. They're obviously looking at guys and thinking, okay, even if we're not the best, even if we're limited as a fighter, we can beat that guy. That's exactly what he did. Whether he fights Tommy Fury next, we'll wait and see. In terms of the Showtime bowed out with a card last night that had Robert Guerrero and Andre Berto on it. Robert Guerrero winning. I didn't watch the fight. I've no interest in watching it. They're both 40. They're both way over the hill. Looked like Guerrero won it quite clearly on the scorecards by all accounts. That's a way to go out with Robert Guerrero versus Andre Berto on that card. But the two fights we'll talk about. We'll talk about Dave Morrell versus Siena Gbeko. Now, Morrell got rid of the guy in 2 rounds, absolutely bludgeoned him against the ropes. Referee jumped in, stopped the fight. There's not really much to tell. Morrell was just superior in every way to Gbeko. Gbeko tried his best, was game, but he was in second in every department to Dave Morrell. I like Morrell. I think he's a talented fighter. It's going to be hard to get fights with him because he is so dangerous. He's 25-year-old Cuban, has good punching power, really, really looking good, looking like a force at 168. To talk of him versus Benavidez, listen, I want to see Benavidez versus Canelo, but I would take that as a bit of a consolation prize as well. Truth be told, I would. The big talking point here is Chris Colbert versus Jose Venezuela. Wow. Am I saying that right? Venezuela? I'll just say Venezuela. Boy, what a KO. It was that right there. Colbert's only 27 years old. That's only his second career loss. But damn, he's going to have a hard time coming back from that. He was out cold. Out for the count. In a weekend where we've seen big knockouts, there's another big knockout. Is that the biggest of the weekend? Possibly, possibly. But then we have to get on, and just before I finish, right? That's Showtime bowing out, right? All these years, Showtime have been there. That's them bowing out of boxing. I guess it was inevitable when HBO left. You know, HBO did talk about doing maybe once-off events. They've never done it. I reckon Showtime are going to be the same. That's them done. I always did like Showtime. I have to say I did. I preferred HBO when it was Showtime HBO, truth be told. But I always liked Showtime. It's sad that, they're gone. But, I guess hopefully Amazon will be better. They'll work with PBC now. Hopefully we can get the fights in the UK. Shouldn't be an issue. Amazon Prime in the UK. I don't have it myself, but maybe, they can do maybe a subscription sports package. I don't know. But hopefully the fights they show won't be pay-per-view in the UK. Hopefully anyway. Let's wait and see how it happens there. But Showtime bowing out, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe now fights with cross networks will be easier to make. I don't know. That is Showtime bowing out with the sport. We move on to the DAZN card. I haven't seen Ahmed Aliyev versus Kevin Gonzalez yet. Now I have to admit, nor have I seen Galal Yafai versus Rocco Santamaria. I think is how you say that guy's name. He's American. I was gonna say is he Italian? Oh, he's American. I haven't seen that fight either. I heard Galal Yafai. Some people said he looked good. Other people said, he got touched up a little bit. The two fights on this card I did see: Peter McGrail versus Jericho Quinn. What a KO by a Quinn. What a KO. Honestly, Peter McGrail boxed this guy's head off for the entire fight. Had him down twice. The first knockdown happened in the second round. In my opinion, wasn't a knockdown. It was feet coming together and Quinn just tumbling over, falling down. Referee called it a knockdown incorrectly, in my opinion. The second knockdown in round 4 was legit. Shot went in from Peter McGrail and went down. Count administered, fair enough. It seemed then that Peter McGrail was just stepping on the gas. He was going through the gears. He was about to get rid of this guy. It really did seem like there was a massive chasm, and there was, between both guys. Towards the back end of the 5th round, Peter McGrail has his opponent up against the ropes, actually more so in the corner. And just out of nowhere, he uncorks this right hand, lands smack bang on Peter McGrail's chin. All she wrote. I mean, he was gone. He was done. He was finished. There's no getting up from that shot. And just completely against the run of play, completely against the run of form, everything, Quinn gets the win. And just, honestly, that was a shock. That really was. I watched it knowing the result. And when I seen it on Boxrec, I was like, down twice, but then stopped. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. And even watching it, I watched the full fight, and it's like, oh wow, that was a big knockout. Peter McGrail, he is going to have a hard time coming back from that. He's not that old. He's 27. But a knockout like that, that's going to take some coming back from. That's going to take some serious coming back from. Big time. In terms of the main event, we obviously had Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Sonny Showtime Edwards. It was a great fight, as I expected. We got the result as I expected, but I didn't expect Edwards to be as aggressive as he was. I expected him to move the whole way throughout. Some would argue maybe if he did move the whole way throughout, maybe he would have been able to see the bell. But Sonny Edwards is a smart guy. He understands the sport. He understands boxing. And he is smart enough to know that if you are the away fighter, which, they're both promoted by Eddie Hearn. It was on a Matchroom show. But he was going into the Lions then. He knew he's going to be the away fighter. To just go in there and pick rounds up, pot shot your way to a win, they probably won't give it to you. So he knew he needed to stand his ground, and he also knew he needed to get Bam Rodriguez's respect in there. It just wasn't enough. As simple as it just wasn't enough. He had nothing to keep him off with. Bam Rodriguez, when he started getting to Edwards, he started hurting him, slowing him down. It was one-way traffic. He smashed Edwards' eye up. I mean, it was bad. His face, certainly that side, looked mashed up by the end. He had a picture of himself after, and this eye is completely closed. There's a bit of damage kind of above the eye on this side. But yeah, Edwards looked like he'd been in a car crash post-fight. Credit to Edwards, though. He showed heart. Some people question that because he is such an abrasive character. Probably the best way I could say it. That he's just the way he comes across on social media. He's always given it large, but when it came tough, he took his beating like a man. You got to give him credit for that. He took his beating like a man in there. Jesse Bam Rodriguez just way too good. For Sonny Edwards, I think there's still more he can do. There's still plenty for him to do at 112 pounds. Rodriguez, I reckon move up. I reckon that he is going to have to test the waters at 115. He looked the much bigger guy in there. Rodriguez started his career in 2017. He was 105 strawweight. Now he's up at he's going to probably move to Superfly, I would imagine. There's fights with Gonzalez. There's fights with Estrada. There's fights with Nakatani. There's a lot of good things to happen there. For Edwards, there's fights with Martinez. And I still think he has the beating of Julio Cesar Martinez. I really do. So, for Edwards, it's not, that loss is not going to define him. I don't think it's not going to be the end of Sonny Edwards. I think there's plenty more there for him to do, certainly at 112 pounds. And let's see what the landscape of 115's like in a couple of years. Edwards himself is not always, not even 30 yet. So both guys have plenty still to offer the sport. And I think that Sonny Edwards will be in big fights next year. I've no doubt about that. He done his best to promote this fight. He done it quite well. People talked about it. A lot of people were actually picking Sonny Edwards to win. I really couldn't understand that myself because I felt that this had Bam win written all over it. But Edwards did a good job promoting it. And, he'll come again. He'll have some fights in the UK, more than likely. He'll try and get another title. More than likely we'll get one. And we'll see what happens down the line. But Bam Rodriguez, that kid is just, he is special. He is a special talent, that kid. He really is. Let's go and look at some of the other news that's knocking around out there. Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz. Jermaine Ortiz fought Lomachenko last year, I think it was. Is now reportedly finalised for February the 8th on a Thursday. So it's going to take place over Super Bowl weekend. I see Top Rank are doing that a lot now lately. Well, their last Thursday show coincided with the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix wasn't too bad, but that fight, Shakur Stevenson, oh boy, that was not too fun for anyone involved, right? So hopefully this one goes. With Teofimo Lopez, I would imagine it will. There's obviously talk of him fighting Subriel Matias in June. I hope to God that does happen. I'd love to see it happen. I'd love to see Matias versus Teofimo Lopez. I think that fight has all the makings for absolute carnage. That's what I think it has the recipe for. Absolute carnage. Billy Joe Saunders having a go at Eubank Jr. as is customary his way. He's calling for him to fight Yalabek Ali Kanuli. We always just call him Yanibek. On Instagram, because it seemed that Eubank was going down the road of fighting for the IBO title. I have seen him say, or at least Eubank say, that he's in negotiations to fight Yanibek. Look, I wouldn't be picking I wouldn't be picking Eubank in that fight. Personally, I think that that's a bridge too far. Yeah, Denzel Bentley was able to have a good account of himself, but I still think Yanibek is the best at that division by a good stretch of the way. In terms of Billy Joe, what's he doing? I thought he was coming back. He was originally talking about coming back in December. Well, it's December, it's nearly over. Well, we're halfway through it, and yes, still no Billy Joe. What's happening with him? He's probably going to come back next year, but listen, to be honest with you, for Eubank and Billy Joe, that's the fight to make. As simple as that's the fight to make. I've seen Josh Kelly mention Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., people like that in his win. I haven't actually seen his fight yet. Only a few little clips of it here and there. For both guys, Eubank and Billy Joe, that's still a fight that will sell to the British public, I believe. I think that makes the most sense. Go for it. Genuinely, I think that fight right there, if both guys can just get a stay busy fight, Billy Joe comes back, see what kind of shape he's in, people will watch that fight 100%. 110%. 100%. Devin Haney said he believes he could finish his career as high as middleweight by the end of his career, which would give him the opportunity to retire as a 5-weight world champion. Well, Devin Haney weighed in 165 pounds on fight night for his last fight. How in God's name this guy ever in a million years was making 135 pounds is beyond me. Honestly, I can't believe it. I actually can't. When I seen 165 pounds, I was like, what? How does he do it? How does he actually cut that weight? That is insane. Absolutely insane. Honestly, it was just Could he go as high as middleweight? Listen, he's already talking about fighting at welterweight, and he would probably not even be a small welterweight, truth be told, if he's weighing in over 165 pounds. Wouldn't even be a small welterweight. So let's see. Let's wait and see what he weighs. See where he goes next. Just talk to him and Conor Benn. I would expect him to beat Conor Benn fairly easily, but let's wait and see. Anthony Joshua, on reports that the Deontay Wilder fight is eyed for March the 9th, he said, I know one good fight leads to another good fight, so let's say I get past Otto Wilder's probably next. If I don't get past him, who knows what's next? So my eyes are fully locked on Valeen, fully. Do you know what? That's one thing I do like to hear from Anthony Joshua, that he is looking at Otto and acknowledges that Valeen is a risk. Deontay Wilder, has he mentioned Joseph Parker once? I haven't heard it. You know, we have fight week for Day of Reckoning. Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua, or Joseph Parker, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Otto Valeen. I am not going to pick either of them to lose, but it wouldn't shock me if one of them did. In terms of the card, honestly, I look at it here and I'm just like, yes, what a flipping card we have in store. This is going to be great. Honestly, I think this card is going to have loads of knockouts, some strange fights, some complete mismatches. I still can't get over what I'm looking at when I see Mark Demori versus Filip Hrgovic. I think that's absolute nonsense of a fight. Farce, complete farce. But let's wait and see. Let's see. I could be proven completely wrong. It could be an absolute barn burner. I doubt it, but you never know. But I'll talk more about that in a bit more depth as we kind of go into the week, because I have to preview. I want to preview and review all these fights, give my predictions on it. Tommy Fury versus Roy Jones, thank God, will not be happening next. John Fury has stated. Thank God for that. None of us, and I mean none of us, wanted to see that fight. Tommy Fury versus Roy Jones. Tommy Fury, 30 years his junior. Even in an exhibition, no one wants to see Roy Jones get in the ring again. Tommy Fury, what's he doing? You know, John Fury said in an interview, which I'll talk about here now in a wee bit, that, you know, whoever has something, whether it be a title or money, etc. So what is he going to do? Is he going to look down to go to road at British level, or is he going to fight Jake Paul or someone like that again? What is Tommy Fury doing? In terms of what Tyson isn't doing, I'll quote John Fury here directly. He says, and I quote, I've never said my son was in decline, because he's not. It's the people around him who ain't up to much. His training's in decline and his camp is in a bigger decline. It's not a camp, it's a circus. Usyk got disciplined professionals, great people around him. I don't think Tyson has that. Absolutely, I'm concerned he could lose. If he doesn't make adjustments, it could be. All right, so those are the words of John Fury. Now, what he's referring to there, if you haven't seen the Seconds Out interview, I already spoke about it in a separate video. He's basically saying that, in his opinion, Sugar Hill Stewart is trying to turn Tyson Fury into a power puncher. That style is not natural to Tyson, and that's not what he should be doing. Now, to one extent, I agree with John Fury. That isn't Tyson's natural style. He is naturally a mover. He is someone who's going to move around the ring. He's going to pick up points. He's going to keep you at this. He's going to befuddle you in a fight. But that was Tyson Fury of a decade ago. We don't have that Tyson Fury now. We now have a Tyson Fury who is a lot more static, who can move, but nowhere near as fluent as he used to be. And I don't think he can do it for large parts during a fight. So I think out of necessity, that style has come about. Because if he didn't need to, why would he have ever left Ben Davison? You know, why would he have left Ben Davison, gone to a new trainer in Sugar Hill Stewart for this new style? I think Fury Tyson knows himself that, look, I need to do this out of necessity. Not because I want to, purely out of necessity. And I wonder, is John Fury just struggling to get to terms with that? In John Fury's mind, is it just a case of, you know, soldier through, run through it? You know, if you're injured or you have knocks in training, so what? Just run through it. Where Tyson's body is saying, I can't. The body just won't let me do it. Maybe that's what John Fury is looking at. I've seen a few people comment and say that they reckon John Fury's been kicked out of Team Fury. He even said himself that no matter what he says to Tyson, he doesn't listen. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's really going to be interesting. And I hope, all I can say is, don't move the fight back, because he's talked about Fury needing more time, Tyson needing more time. I just hope they're not putting that little seed in, and then all of a sudden it's going to balloon up and be like, oh yeah, pushing it back. Well, we did say we needed more, blah 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 blah. I hope not. February 17th, let's get it on. Fights for next year. February 24th in Florida, really interesting fight. Edgar Berlanga versus Padraig McCrory. That's an interesting fight. Padraig McCroy obviously won an IBO title at 175 pounds, come back down to super middleweight. He's a decent fighter, as Padraig McCroy. He's improved a lot over the years. Him against Berlanga, that's a really competitive fight. I'm telling you now, that's a really, really competitive fight. That's a really competitive fight, because I don't rate Berlanga too highly, right? As many of you will know, I've never really rated the guy too highly. Padraig McCroy is not amazing. He's not terrible by no stretch of the imagination, but he's not amazing at the same time. But I think he's good enough to be very competitive with Edgar Berlanga. He hits very hard, does Padraig McCroy. Hits very hard. We've seen Berlanga down against that Marcel Esteban guy on the undercard of Wilder Fury 3. So I'm looking at that fight thinking that is a very, very competitive fight. Berlanga versus McCroy. In terms of other news, I think that's pretty much it for the week, lads. Unless I'll have a quick look on boxing scene and see what we have. Normally this time of the year we're starting to kind of wind it down a little bit. But it ain't going to be happening this week, I'll tell you that. Let's have a quick look on boxing scene. Robert Guerrero want to get to a position for a title, do you? That's not going to happen. You're 40 years old, mate. Seriously. WBC president. Who can go against Ngannou being ranked? He dropped Fury and lost it. Well, he lost. You've said it there. Why are you ranking a guy who lost? That Sullivan is what Sullivan is. He's a complete Amir. All right, here we go. Here's a little article for you here. Amir Khan, Saudis have an interest in a Pacquiao fight. It would be massive. Amir Khan, when he hears the name, he will never live it down, won't he, that he hasn't fought Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao. Amir Khan looked terrible against Kell Brook 2 years ago. Manny Pacquiao lost to Yordenis Ugas over 2 years ago. I'd still pick Manny. He's 44 years old. I'd still pick Pacquiao to beat Amir Khan. Probably knock him out. I would. I'd still pick Manny Pacquiao to do that. Amir Khan. Would the Saudis really do it? Was Amir Khan, correct me if I'm wrong, the first real fighter who fought in Saudi in terms of these big cards? Because, yeah, Joshua fought Ruiz on that fight 4 years ago now. But in the summer of 2019, there was that really weird card. They showed it on Channel 5. It was actually a very good card. I actually done reviews for all three of the fights at the time. And they all done really good views. For my channel at the time, didn't even have 1,000 subscribers. It was Prince Patel versus... can't think of his name now. It's gone. But it was for the IBO title at 118. I can't think of his name. He got absolutely completely schooled. Haven't heard from Prince Patel since then. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Hughie Fury fought Sam Peter, who was just... That was almost so bad it was funny. And then Amir Khan fought Billy the Kid Dip. A career 130 pounder, 135 pounder fighting a welterweight. It was very strange, but apparently all guys got absolute rakes of cash for fighting in. It was certainly Amir Khan did. And that was the start of Saudi. I remember that. And yeah, Amir Khan seems to have a good relationship with them. Would they do? They probably would if they really wanted it. Manny Pacquiao versus Amir Khan. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have certainly happened with the Saudis. I mean, their pockets just... They making it rain. And we're getting these fights. So I'm probably going to leave it off on that. Let me know your thoughts and everything I talk about in this video. The fights over the course of the weekend. The fights coming up this week. Amir Khan, Manny Pacquiao. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. It's going to be a busy week. We've got a lot of previews coming up. I've got a WTF episode that I want to try and finish this coming week before Christmas. And yeah, stay Boxing Day. We're straight back into it for a watch along for Inoue versus Marlon Tapia. So it's going to be a busy Christmas period. Goal is to hit 15k in the next, obviously, week or two. Fingers crossed we do that. And yeah, we're on a good foundation for 2024. Early part of 2024, we're getting out of Ireland. We're setting up shop in London. We're going to see how that goes. I got other stuff planned as well for next year. Obviously not on here, outside of YouTube as well. And I hope it goes well. I hope it all goes well. And I hope for other people who are planning their next year, who are planning over Christmas, working over Christmas, etc. I hope you all have a good time. This is the last week before Christmas for those who celebrate it. let's go. Let's make it a good week. We've got a lot to talk about this. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up, and I can't wait to do this watch along on Saturday for the Day of Reckoning. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Let's go. Monday morning. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Peace.